Chapter 9. The atmosphere above was forever changing its colours, in a motion matching Eliosa's mood. Her mood was a large collision of many things: doubt, sadness, wonder, happiness, a new-found anxiety, and many more things. This caused the sky to reflect in her eyes with brutal flourishes of colour. However, Eliolesa did not watch the colours, she was watching the vast deep space behind it, ever-consuming, ever-infinite. Its vastness always welcomed her gaze, and swallowed her thoughts and feelings in a way no person could. Eliolesa was located at the very top of the palace, in a balcony especially made for moments like this. In fact, her mother had done the exact same thing, at almost the exact same time of the Rabation year, just before she met Eliosa's father. A large butterfly, 3 times the size of an earth butterfly, flew past her and flew down towards the entrance of the palace. There, her eyes drew downwards and saw 2 people unidentifiable as Rabation or human. They entered the palace, and a flutter entered Eliosa's heart. Whether it was excitement, or that thing her mother called anxiety, she wasn't sure. Part of her wanted to run all the way down the palace stairs and greet the people, but she knew she wasn't to be seen until the end of the trials. Tradition had kept it this way. It kept a mystery to the romance part, which also left luck to the result for both parties involved. She finished watching the 2 enter the palace, and then brought her eyes back up to the sky, the colours merging faster, her heartbeat calming. The sky followed suit, until it reached a tranquil state of colourful blending. Her mind calm, her heart fastened. A perspective hit her, as the colours of the sky transformed in a blissful mix. She threw her arms into the sky, and in her thoughts she threw away her worry and doubt, and left herself to the idea of a natural flow or fate. I will be the best person I can be, for the best person that comes through, for my family and home. What else can I do? Do I welcome the man I'm chosen to love with arms of self-doubt and worry? I think not. Think of mother. What would she do? I am enough. I will be enough. Thoughts in Eliosa's mind seemed to have churned from negative to positive, but a seed of doubt was already sown and laid deep in the back of her mind. Unwilling to accept it and let it flourish for the picking, she denied it the sunlight in initial growth that allowed it to form a sprout from the darkness left for it. Unknowingly, the corners of her smile held small indents that reflected the negativity slowly but surely growing. Leaving the balcony from the top of the palace, she went downstairs to the hall to visit her mother's creations again. Seeing them just made her feel happy. On her way there, she had reached the 8th floor, and was immediately grabbed by a maid who was suspiciously looking for someone. That someone had turned out to be Eliolesa. With an unexpected tug of the arm, she was almost dragged into a dressing room, which used to belong to her mother. The doors flung open with a ferocity that did not match the maid's onlooking strength. "I found her!" the maid shouted, as the doors flung open. "About time," replied another maid. There were 5 different maids from different floors, all sitting and standing in the dressing room. Which was larger than Eliosa's room? There were 5 different maids from different floors, all sitting and standing in the dressing room. Which was larger than Eliosa's room? 5 maids, all gracefully and in sync, took a glance at Eliolesa. Their faces, all very different, offered different versions of the same emotion: impatience. Eliolesa countered their faces with a faint smile, hoping that what they were feeling would pass. She knew she had been playing hide and seek with the maids in charge of her wedding attire and event costumes. After apologizing profusely for a minute or two, Eliolesa stood still and let the maids go to work. Her eyes drawn to the objectification of the room, its silence and consuming gaze matching her own, a moment disconnecting her from the noise of the busy maids, connected her to the unwillingness of the room, giving her the signs that despite being full and being treated to the highest of standards, she yet felt as empty as the silence a room of space could provide. The talking of her excitement to marry a man of her dreams, the uncertainty of her worth, the uncertainty of his worth. How will they fall in love? Does love matter? How long will it take to fall in love? Will he love me? Will I love him? How? Eliolesa! Shouted one of the maids. Is she okay? Asked another. She looks pale, said one more. Water! Bring water! Intervened another. The last maid took her hand softly, as a mother would to a small child, and placed another soft hand on top of it. After one small gentle rub, she took one hand to Elioles's face and caressed her cheek, and gently brought her face to her own. Would you like to stop for today, Eliolesa? The final maid asked. The other maids stopped what they were doing and remained silent and still. Elioles's eyes told the final maid everything she needed to know. The maid helped her down from the dressing stool and calmly and slowly walked out with her to the hallway. It's scary, isn't it? Said the maid outside the room. Eliolesa held her gaze to the wooden floor before slowly raising to face the maid. The maid had a young and tanned complexion. The retinas of her eyes were a deep and dark blue that reflected light like the sea. Her brow was soft, her cheeks a soft rosy colour, and lips that remained anonymous on her face. Eliolesa looked her in the eyes and felt the muscles in her face sink to the reality of her emotions. I don't know if I'm good enough to be like my mother. I don't know. You're not meant to know. You're meant to learn. That is what this is about, said the maid. Taking her hands once more, she held them with a firmness that confirmed to Eliolesa she was there for her. No one can be your mother. You're also not meant to be your mother. You are Eliolesa and no one else, confirmed the maid. But my mother is a queen, retorted Eliolesa. Correct, but you don't have to be the same. Your ways of being a queen and pillar of strength for the king will be completely different. Different times require different rulers. Your mother's time has passed, and now it is your time. The maid tapped Elioles's hand gently, as to concrete the fact she was indeed Eliolesa, a different person entirely to her mother. What if I fail? Asked Eliolesa. Failure is just a stepping stone of success. If there was no failure in the world, we would never move forward. Your mother, I'm sure, will admit to you a mistake or two. Go ask her. The maid kindly pushed Eliolesa away towards the stairs and gestured with her face the direction Eliolesa should go. With a few short glances back at the maid, Eliolesa made her way down the stairs, one floor to her mother's quarters. Her mother's floor of the palace was by far the most beautiful part of the palace, minus the gardens below. Although at first senses the entire floor seemed silent and absent of life, but each step you took presented a new perspective and touch on the senses. 4 steps away from the stairs into the hallway, her nose was met with the smell of a strange plant from a distant land similar to the smell of lavender. 6 steps in, the multi-refracted light from the sky above bounced around the shiny and polished wood of the palace walls and floors. 11 steps in, a gentle melody from her father's piano, recorded from his invention from Earth, was leaking from the cracks of one of the shut doors. 14 steps into the hallway of her mother's floor, her eyes peered into an open door to see a beautiful black silhouette blocking the overwhelming colour and light of the sky, powering in from the window. "Mother," Eliolesa said softly. "Ellie dear, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be getting your dress done?" asked Queen Numeria. "I wanted to ask you something." Numeria could see the confidence leaving Eliosa's face. She grabbed her tiny soft hands into hers and looked her in the eyes. "Ask away, my dear," Numeria said, with a gentle smile and soft eyes. "Have you ever failed or made a mistake?" Eliolesa asked. She then scrunched her eyelids as if preparing for punishment. Numeria slowly placed her hands on Eliosa's cheeks and brought her face close to hers. "Of course I have, darling. So many mistakes. Here, sit. Let me tell you some stories." Numeria and Eliolesa sat together in a room with shifting perspectives. The light bouncing around the room, the faint piano in the distance, never seen but holding presence, the accompanying silence from all the carefully crafted furniture, the onlooking, imaginative creations of her mother's design moving in motion along with holding fast to the highs and lows of their conversation, the colour of the ever-merging sky telling Numeria's stories with the clash of its colours, and the gentleness of its reflection on the glossy wooden floors. The words and emotions of mother and daughter gave the Queen's quarters a warmth that had not been present for quite some time. The talk was what Eliolesa needed. Her heart felt less burdened, and at last she had received the reception from her mother she had wanted since all this had started. Her mother had apologized at the end for not being present enough to see her anguish, and had accepted she had neglected Eliolesa for moments of using her imagination. Eliolesa was almost brought to tears that her mother did not just blame it on being busy, but actually accepted her wrongs. That's what made her mother the best. She was honest. "It's gone. It's all gone," Eliolesa said to herself as she left her mother's quarters, her smile resonating on the reflections of the wooden walls. She took a moment to measure her smile and found the clarity in her own eyes. It was a wonderful feeling that Eliolesa hadn't felt before, or even hadn't needed to feel. Relaxed and clear, her worries about everything was gone. All she had to do was prepare for what was coming with a clear mind, and that was exactly what she was going to do. Returning to the 5 maids waiting for her, with the one maid who spoke to her personally smiling and winking, they welcomed her with soft expressions, and they carried on with their dress fitting and creation. Hours had passed by until everything had finished. Eliolesa was starting to feel like her mother, a queen. The dress they had finally created was whiter than anything humanly possible. The fabric weaved was very fine, made from a very rare and unfortunate fruit, only harvested every 2 to 3 years. Growing alongside a mountain halfway up its peak, it was a fabric you could not make mistakes with. Fortunately for Eliolesa, she had the best seamstresses ever created in the room with her, and it showed. The dress had trims upon trims, and weaved rabbits upon rabbits that formed a pattern bewildering to the eyes. The bottom half of the dress exaggerated past the feet, and fell to the floor in a baggy mess, but once pulled up by the seamstress, in the manner it would be for the wedding, it told a story of a woman on the moon and a man from the earth, and how the small connection with the light of the moon brought them together in matrimony. Eliolesa felt brand new, and holding back a new-formed happiness. The seed of doubt growing in the back of her mind remained just that, at the back of her mind.